So I really like Drapion. Like I feel like Drapion to me is like the perfect tank buster because he doesn't have he has one weakness, which is ground, which is really good, and he resists poison, ghost, grass, and dark. Other than grass, those are pretty good resistances, and everything else is neutral, which is really good because he doesn't have many weaknesses. The fact that he only has one weakness, which is ground, it sucks that it's ground because ground is earthquake is pretty much a go-to if you have it. But other than that, that's really good defense-wise, like being tanky, and he has good defensive stats, 70 HP and 75 defense with the 75 special defense with the 110 attack. It's pretty good, and he's low-key fast at 95. Like he isn't the most bulky, but he has a little bit of everything minus special attack, which doesn't really matter. But this is probably the most physical. Like this is just a like bulk tank Drapion, which is just Earthquake, Throat Chop, Poison Jab, and Leech Life. Throat Chop and Poison Jab for the stab. There's no reason to run Crunch, really. There's no reason to run Crunch over Throat Chop, because Throat Chop helps if, like Toxtricity, for example, you just shut him down, because he doesn't even get his ability or anything. Crunch, the defense drop doesn't really mean anything, honestly, because he's gonna do enough anyway to drop you under half, so it's not really gonna matter unless they switch into a tank. Doesn't really matter that much. I'd rather have Throat Chop just so they can't use sound moves. And even if you get KO'd, like a Noivern could switch in and like he can't Boom Burst. If you survive, Noivern's a bad example. I don't know. He's not the best special defense, but if he survives, like he'll probably survive a Noivern like this, especially if it's a Throat Spray Noivern. That the Noivern who's Boom Burst, you survive, and then you Throat Chop and he can't Boom Burst anymore, especially it really shuts down Toxtricity, but it's good. It's better to have that than Crunch. Earthquake, because it's a great move. Poison Jab for the other stab. And I like Leech Life for the health, especially if it's super effective. You gain 50% of your health back, so if you one-shot off of it or do a ton of damage, you're going to get a good amount of health. Assault Vest is good to keep you alive, just because he doesn't have great... Especially, it isn't terrible, but it's not great. It actually about evens them out, I think. I think special defense is slightly higher. Abilities, I forgot about them. They're not great. Other than Sniper. Sniper's decent, but the other ones aren't that good. Keen Eye, unless you're going against somebody who's using Minimize or is just lowering your accuracy, doesn't matter, but Dynamax ignores it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Battle Armor is decent. I would say Battle Armor for this one just because, so you know you won't get crit. You could also, instead of Poison Jab, run the Cross Poison. Where is it? Cross Poison, just for the chance of the crit with Sniper. And then I would say run Sniper if you're running either Cross Poison or Night Slash, I think. Yeah, then it's worth it because the Sniper damage. But he also learns some other moves. He learns some other decent moves he learns all three of the Fang moves. Fire Fang's probably the best for Ferrothorn, but with the DLC and Garchomp in them, it might be a problem. You might have to run Ice Fang. Aqua Tail's decent, but the 90 accuracy kind of sucks, and no additional effect. And Brick Break is... I don't know, Brick Break is just there, honestly, if you want the fighting, or if you want the Dynamax fighting. But I wouldn't really recommend... I don't know, he's not a bad Dynamax, because he has decent health. Yeah, he's not a bad Dynamax. Brick Break. You could also run Facade if you don't want to get burned pretty much. Knockoff's decent. I didn't even notice Knockoff. Knockoff's really good if you're trying to be a tank Drapion and you don't want to do as much damage. Like if you just go like health and defense with an Assault Vest, Knockoff would be good here if you just go health and defense instead of attack with the Assault Vest, and then instead of probably Throat Chop, the Knockoff. Be decent. You won't do as much damage, but you'll just be more disruption than anything. Also, Rock Slide's decent for the coverage if you want to run it. X-Scissor, there's no reason to run X-Scissor over Leech Life because they do the same damage, but Leech Life gives you health back. I mean, there's also, I don't think Rest is worth it because you're gonna take too much damage for it to be worth anything. He has Hone Claws. There's no reason to run Hone Claws, honestly, because most of his best moves have, what, 100% accuracy, I want to say? Other than maybe Rock Slide. Oh, the rest of them have 100. He also learns Toxic Spikes. I don't really like it. I mean, it's better than... I don't know. It's one of those things. If you like Toxic Spikes, he would run it. I think there's better Pokemon to run it, like Excelgor with Toxic Spikes, Focus Sash, and then just Reversal. They get max damage on that. It's Poison type with Poison, can't miss, decent. Poison Fang is like Poison, but 50% chance. And it's badly poisoned, so you get a 50% chance, and it does some damage. Fell Stinger, in my opinion, is like high risk, high reward, because if you get it, if you switch him in and like Agility with the Fell Stinger, like if you switch him in Agility and then Fell Stinger, you have to kind of hope they don't switch out, but you're gonna get +3 attack, so it's decent. It's good, but it's like Drapion isn't fast enough. You would have to switch in Agility and then use Fell Stinger and hope they stayed in with the one with no health. So it's weird, and I doubt you'll get it. Also, I forgot about the items. Assault Vest for this one, since you're running all attack and you're bulky. You could also run a Guava Berry, pretty much, because you're gonna Guava Berry or Citrus Berry, just depends. Special hits will almost guarantee to bring you that low. Physical hits just depends on who's hitting you, honestly. It just depends. I like Assault Vest better for this, but yeah. Also, I don't think he's good with leftovers just because he's not that bulky. He's not the type you can switch in and he'll just eat whatever hit you. They throw like Ferrothorn or Eviolite Rhydon. But this is the Drapion I like to run, which is just anti-tank and anti-setup, because the whole idea with this one is I'm gonna either, depending on their team, if they have more sweepers, I'm gonna Agility. If they have more tanks or slower Pokemon, I'm gonna use Swords Dance plus Sniper. Plus, Razor Claw and both of these moves have a 50% chance to crit. And Sniper does an extra 50%. His extra 1.5 damage with those if they crit. So if they crit, they're going to do a ton of damage. They pretty much one-shot, honestly. Even without the Swords Dance, they either one-shot or they get just short of a one-shot. So if you get the Swords Dance, he just one-shots. And the best way to really use this against like Grimmsnarl or something like that where they can't hurt you, and you switch in on Grimmsnarl, either whether he KO, preferably if he KOs something like a Sucker Punch, you switch in and you get a free Agility or Swords Dance because Grimmsnarl can't do anything. Either they stay in or switch, and you can just set up. Or like Corviknight, for example. Especially the thing that makes it really good for anti-setup and tanks is the fact that crits ignore all defense boost and all that. So you just ignore any defense boost they got. So like Iron Defense, Body Press, Corviknight, if you crit with Night Slash, you one-shot. Especially with, I think, +2, you pretty much one-shot. And it shuts down Pokemon that are like, oh, I'm going to build up defense, or I'm going to set up stats. And he's bulky enough to survive a physical hit. Maybe not special. Special is more of like, it got to be a weaker special hit, but he'll survive a defensive or a physical hit with this. Like, best case scenario, though, is switch him in on something that can't hit him hard, or something that he resists heavy, like a Pokemon as a revenge, sort of, as something he resists really heavy, and just set up. All you really need is one in one of these. Like, yeah, you switch in, you force them to switch, and you get a free Agility or Swords Dance, depending on their team. And if you can get the other one, he's a problem. Like, it's really good. Dynamax does sort of get in the way a little bit, but I think he's also really good at cleaning up. If you can get him in later in the game, and you get an Agility and he outspeeds everything, because his speed is very fast. Like 95 speed is low-key fast for no reason. Is he faster than Dragapult? What does he have? Yeah, he's definitely faster than Dragapult, actually. What is that? That's what, almost 390? I think he outspeeds either even Jolly or Timid. Did he outspeed? Yeah, I think he outspeeds even max speed Dragapult. I think the only things that really would outspeed him at that point are, yeah, Ninjask and Excelgor. But at that point, he's just, if you can bring him in late game and get that Agility, it's over, because he'll outspeed, and he has a high chance to crit and does extra damage on the crit. So I really like Drapion, honestly. This is the one I like running. It's so, he's not like you're going to bring him in every battle, but like if he can get a good matchup, he's set. But yeah, that's how to use Drapion.